I think one very strange thing for me whenever I learned that thing about the greeting is to go into a mourner's house and to sit, to get in the awkwardness of just like the quiet and knowing that you're not going to try to solve the awkwardness or the kind of heaviness. I think just coming in and you just, you don't know what to do. And the truth is, you really don't know what to do. And there's not really words. And the truth is, there really are not words at this point. And just to allow ourselves, even here in this space that is filled with words, to just come in and sit together and just be present with each other, even if no one's going to say anything. Um, Wanted to ask everybody as we're entering this space together to just take a paper and pen and start with the regular question that we're starting with. What's moving in me? Um, and we'll take 2 minutes to just write whatever comes up, just write it down. I feel that when I spoke to Ariel about coming together today, I really just wanted to come together with other people. I feel that there's a lot of grief in life always. It's part of life that we're not always talking about. And this year, there's a lot of grief. And sometimes we just have to deal with life and we're just pushing it away. Sometimes we push it away because of other reasons, but we just really don't get to be with it. Um, and we have actually our tradition made for us time to sit with grief. And the thing with grief is like that it's just really puts us in front of the real truth of life, that it ends, that there are chaotic parts of it, and it puts us just like in front of life. And that's a place that often we want to run away from. It's not the easiest place at all. Um, and sometimes we just don't have time to get there because we're so busy. So as we're starting to slowly land into this place and allow ourselves to really enter Tisha B'Av and to enter it from this like special place that I feel SVIVAH always allows us to enter, which is how do women do that? Um, so I went to shul this morning to the synagogue to just kind of like be there a little bit. And they were reading the Haftarah for Tisha B'Av. And as they were reading the Haftarah, there's like a lot of hard things in the beginning of the Haftarah, and then in the middle, it's from Jeremiah, and he says, "Call the women who are the mekonenot, the women who are lamenting, and they should come and make our eyes flow with tears, and they should come and let us feel our hearts." And then in the Haftarah, they're coming, and after that part with the Haftarah, where the women are teaching their daughters to sing the songs of the wailing, then comes the second part of the Haftorah where things are starting, something starts to transform. There's some kind of like starting to talk about a future. And suddenly really occurred to me that what we're coming to do here together, to sit quietly, to lament together, is really an ancient, ancient thing. Not surprisingly, that women had always known to do, and it is the wailing, the lamentation, the crying, and to just to allow us to be there so that our eyes can flow with tears so that something can actually open up and crack and and make space for something new to come, even though we have no idea how it's going to come. So we I want to try to take us today through these places of coming back to that thing that probably we know in our bones how to lekonen, how to wail. And when I read a bit about it, there were two ways. One is like bringing our voices together to sing together songs that were maybe Eicha was one of them. Eicha, which is the ancient text we read, the Megillah that we read in synagogue every year in Tisha B'Av. Maybe it's just like this kind of poem that women used to just sing together. And another way that they used to do it was to one person says and the other people answer. But they would come. There would be the women that would come when it is time to cry after someone died, a person, or after it was like a crisis, and they would come. And Jeremiah calls them, "Come, we need you," because sometimes the pain is so overwhelming and the things are so much, and we don't. We're running to like arrange the funeral home and to talk to that person and to arrange and maybe to make food and actually we need someone to help us just like talk about it, say it. And it can be really maybe graphic and hard to hear it, but we need these words. We need to be able to say what is true because we really need the truth at that point, even though we also want to show our back to the truth. We want to like turn away from it. Um, so yeah, so I'm asking us to let's take 1 minute or 2 minutes to just first of all be to allow ourselves and the page, the paper, to see the truth, to just write for a moment, just like what's moving for me today when I'm here. So we're gonna take a minute or two, and it hasn't doesn't need to be the most uh, crazy poetry or the hardest thing, whatever it is that is moving for you right now. So I'm gonna call us back in a minute. Let's take a few more moments and come back. And feel free to keep writing, keep just like sensing what's moving in you. And I'm gonna sing for us one of the Keot. It's an ancient Kina. We sing it every year in the synagogue. And Ariel will share in the link in the chat the link if you want to read it, but you can just listen and you can listen, or you can listen and keep writing, whatever is right for you right now. I'm gonna sing the Hebrew, and if you want to sing with me, um, then sing with me. But I'm really having the intention to sing it so that it can open for us something. These words are very ancient, but they feel very relevant this year in a way that I don't feel like I need to make any efforts to be like, oh, how is it relevant to my life? No, like some of whatever is in this kina, we we experienced as like real life photos and videos not long ago. Some of us it's closer to us, some of us it's a little farther away. But I'm singing this really with the kavanah to give ourselves a place to be to see the testimony, to see the truth, to say the truth, and to allow ourselves to just let these tears go out and sing together like the mekonenot. אלי ציון בהריה כמו אישה בציריה וכי בתולך הגור הצק על בעל נעוריה עלי ארמון אשר נוטש בהשמצון עדריה ועל ביאת מחרפיה בתוך מקדש חדריה עלי גלות משרתי אל נעימי שיר זמריה ועל דמם אשר שופע כמו מימי יאוריה עלי הגיון מחוליה אשר דמם בהרי הר, ועל ועד אשר שמם, וביטול סנהדריה, לזבחי תמידיה, ופדיוני בכוריה, ועל חילול כלי היכל, ומזבח קטוריה, עלי טפי מלאכיה, בני דוד גביריה, ועל יפיים אשר חשך, בעת צרו כתריה, עלי כבוד אשר גלה, בעת חורבן דביריה, ועל לוחץ אשר לחץ, ושם שקים חגוריה, עלי מחץ ורוב מכות, אשר הוכו נזיריה, ועל ניפוץ עלי סלה, אביא להנעריה, עלי שמחת משניה, בסך קם על שבריה, ועל עינוי בני חורין, לדיביה טהוריה, עלי פשע אשר עבתה, סילול דרך אשוריה, ועל צבאות קהליה, שזופיה שחוריה, עלי קולות מחרפיה, בעת רבו פגריה, ועל רגשת מגדפיה, בתוך משכן חצריה, עלי שמך אשר חולל, בפי קמי מצריה, ועל תחן יצב חולה, כשוב ושמע אמריה, אלי ציון והריה, כמו אישה בציריה, וכי בתולת חגור עצק, על בעל נעוריה. The first distinction for us for today, it's even weird to talk, I have to say. Okay, so I'll say something about talking. I feel like anywhere in our life, and especially when something death is coming our way, death in all kinds of scales, small, big, very big, we have two options. One is to agree, and one is to resent. And these are the two options, really. We can only either agree to our life or resent them. And especially when something that is so feeling to us like this is not supposed to be happening, we either agree to it or we resent it. And there are many emotions that come when we agree, and there are many emotions that come when we resent. And we know the difference in our body, I think. We know the difference really, really strongly inside. And it's not always easy, even when we know that we're resenting something, to agree to it. And I think Tisha B'Av is this place where we often, what we want to do is to resent. We want to resent because we want to keep some coherency in our life. And we can't accept it. We can't accept that something so terrible is happening. So we want to suppress it. And we resent it in all kinds of ways. One way is to suppress it down. One way is to say that everything's fine. One way is to say, no, everything is going to be okay, it's going to be great, when we don't really know that. But we're saying it because we have to make things okay. And we resent what's happening. There's many ways of resenting life when they come in the chaotic way that they come sometimes. And my sense with Tisha B'Av is that sometimes we come to Tisha B'Av and grief is not a big part of our life and we have to remind ourselves what it is. And sometimes we come to Tisha B'Av and we feel like the whole year is Tisha B'Av. And we know exactly what we're mourning for. But in any case, I think our calendar, the Jewish calendar, says to us, you have to make time for it. You have to make time to acknowledge that there's grief in life and that it has to be in life. And you have to make time to talk it, to sing it, to maybe sing it to someone that answers you, to sit together. You have to do that. It has to be part of your calendar because you're not going to put it on your calendar. So the Jewish calendar puts it on the calendar for us. There's going to be a time, 3 weeks, when you're going to prepare yourself to be with grief because grief is here. And in these days, we have special 5 isurim, 5 things that are accustomed not to do today. Not to eat or drink, not to wash ourselves, not to anoint ourselves, not to wear leather shoes, not to have intimate relations. And all these things, not to eat, not to wash, not to anoint, not to wear leather shoes, comfortable shoes, not to have intimate relations. These are all the places, I think, where we really, really feel life and build life. We are doing this as gestures of life. We cook for people we love, or sometimes so much, but we are nourishing people with food. We're nourishing ourselves with food. We're nourishing ourselves with washing and anointing and comfortable something to walk on and intimate relations. All these things are the ways that we are doing life, making life. And all these things that we so want to invest in are the whole year that we're celebrating in any other holiday, right? In any other holiday, we're making food, we're making drinks, and we're taking a good shower before Rosh Hashanah or the Seder or whatever. We're buying new shoes, something comfortable, and we're celebrating the intimate relations, big and small, close and further away. All these things today we're taking a halt. We're taking like a break. It's okay. It's okay that these things sometimes they stop. Sometimes we need them to stop. And one of the Keot that I was reading this morning was a Kina where I'm sure someone really wrote it from the bottom of their heart at some point in history, and they were trying to express the pain that they were feeling. And they were writing about our ancestors going and like begging, please, to get things back in order. How is it possible to see our kids like this? Abraham and Yitzhak and every one of them has like this long explanation why Hashem needs to like give us a break and it's not working. And then the four mothers are coming and they're not talking. All they do is like they kind of like they cry and they yell and they bang on their chest. And apparently this is what the Mekunenot used to do. They would come and there's like just no explanations. It's just that it's not possible to hold it. And then the Kina says, and then Hashem is like, okay, don't worry. I'm gonna get your kids back there to where they were. They're gonna be okay. I just feel like we have this time in the year, we have this time today where we're allowed to go back to that wisdom of the body of like it's a little wild not to eat and not to drink and not to anoint and not to give any break and to just go into that place that yells. And I feel like over here we can even put mute. We can really do that because the truth is the world kind of needs the mekonenot. I feel like the world kind of needs people to be really yelling for things that are really hard. And it's allowed to do it. It's important to do it. Not all the time. I mean, life do need to go back at some point, but not now. So what I'm asking us to do now is we'll take, let's say, 3 minutes, and we'll keep it mute for a bit, and to just write whatever, not just like what's moving in you, like what we did in the beginning, but like what grief are you with today? And it could be sometimes a little much. It's okay. If you can, if you're in a place where you can and you feel that you can, we're giving you the permission, of course. If you don't feel like you can give it to yourself, so you don't need our permission, but if you need it, to just, if you need to wail a little bit or get it out, yell it out, that's fine. And if you can write it in one, if you can write one sentence, doesn't have to hold everything, but one sentence of like something about that grief, 5 to 10 words, and have it ready. And in the end of 2, 3 minutes, I'll ask you to just send this sentence. And I just feel like we need a Kina. Zoom is not the best when everybody's talking together. So we're going to do it in writing. So I'm just repeating, we're going to take 3 minutes and just, what grief are you sitting with today? What is it for you that you feel that you are need to do the work of mekonenot for? And the right few words. It doesn't have to be solved at all at this point, just to say the truth of what it is and to write few words to add to a kina that we can hold together. And we're going to send it into the chat, these 5 to 10 words, whatever it is, in about 3 minutes. So let's take some time to just be with, and I'll call us back. When you're ready, please add few words of your own lamenting to the chat. And it can be just like 5 words, whatever comes to your mind. And if there's nothing at all, that's fine too, of course. Okay. So if you still want to add your words, please do it now. And thank you for your words. And I'm gonna read our words back to us. And I'm inviting you to turn off your video and mute and just see what's coming up in your body. Like, what do you need to do? Do you need to bang on your chest? Do you need to just like how does it need to be expressed for now? And just do it as I'm reading our words for us. Um, and we'll see what the words will do to us also, just to read our Kina, our element. There is so much brokenness, so much hurt and pain. How does it ever get repaired? How do we hold each other? Multiple layers of grief, war, broken friendship, my father's death, lamenting, feeling vulnerability, helplessness, Taya and her children, Kerem Shalom. Holy tears, shattered, exhausted. People need your redemption. When will it come? Processing immense grief on behalf of hostages, their families, and the rest of us vulnerable Jews. Thousands of precious holy souls that could be directing their energy elsewhere instead of the obliteration of another culture or people. Their collective potential could be used for so much good. Oh, so much good, heavy pain, burning hole, absence, missing, yearning for you back, aching for the woman, oh woman, living in this world, alone in the dark. I'm sorry, my mother arms can't hold and take away your pain, children, oh children, children, children. Take away your pain. My hair is falling out in clumps, maybe from stress, senseless death, from hate, but also apathy. Deep quiet like a well, far away yet witnessing. Lost the shared virtue of grief, wailing as music, wailing as music. When will redemption come? So that was our first distinction. One thing is always there. Do we agree to life or do we resent it? And when we sing the Kina, we're willing to say, to just say, to put in words, to put in song, to put in tears what is happening. This is happening. This is happening. That children are dying, that people are being hurt, that this is happening. That's what we're saying in the Kina. This is what we're feeling. This is what we're saying in the Kina. And we're just putting it out there for real. And we don't eat and we don't drink and we don't wear leather shoes and we don't anoint or shower or have intimate relations. And we sing these things and we wail and we bang on our chest and we're throwing our arms and we're doing the thing that needs to be done so that tears can go out. So, in a way, this is a way of accepting life, which is surprising. But to accept that this is also life sometimes. This is also life sometimes. This is also life when it's not in order. So that's one thing. Accept life or resent life. And to accept life sometimes looks very wild, sometimes looks a little depressed, but to be willing to see that which is here. And then there's a second distinction. There's also life that happens inside and life that happens outside. And I think there's truth to that we are being given in these many long chains of wisdom that we have so many generations in our tradition. And we're told that on the day of Tisha B'Av, Mashiach is born, which is a weird and wild thing. Because the truth is that when something breaks, something else is born. This is just the truth of life. This is not like a manipulative something that I'm trying to say. that there's hope in the brokenness. No. But the truth of life is that when something breaks, something else is starting its life. I am part of a project called Eiynaich Yonim, which is in memory of a very special person who died very young. And his mom, um, every year when we have our retreat with the fellows in this program, she tells how she was coming to his grave a few weeks after his death, and she would see these little bugs, red bugs on the grave, and she knew that like he's being decomposed. It's like his body is being decomposing. And um and she says in a weird way, with all the tremendous grief that was there, she was also knowing his body is now becoming someone else's life, going through these bugs into the soil, into the air, feeding another tree, goes into the bird that will go somewhere else. There's something in really willing to say, this is happening. The bones are down there and they are decomposing. Sometimes we're hiding it. We're putting it in a box. We're putting it in the ground. We won't see what's going on. When we're coming to Tisha B'Av, we think we're opening the box. We're looking at Eicha, at the thing as it is. And we know that even though what we see outside is one thing, something inside is happening. We might be outside seeing only something covered, but inside something is decomposing. I think in our body, we also know it. And whoever waited, I shared it a few times, but like I was for a few years in fertility treatments, and every time you get your period, which is like this kind of death, you feel like again it's gone. The world is just shattering again. And at some point, I learned, and I didn't know that the when you're seeing blood on on the period, this is also the time when new egg is like coming out of the ovary and starts a new cycle. It's a weird and bizarre thing, but we're seeing something outside and inside something else is happening. And it's not something we can always attest to. And we don't need to know. It's happening in the dark, in there. But when something breaks, something else is starting its life. That's just how the world apparently works. And we don't know what it will look like, what it will be like, but it will be. And when I spoke to Ariel, one midrash that really came up strongly to my mind was that on Tisha B'Av, one of the things we're told that happened is that the Meraglim, those people who were sent to see the land of Israel from the desert, came back and said what they said, and people deserted the idea, did not have the faith to go to the land of Israel, and there was a terrible decree that all these people who didn't have the faith to go to the land of Israel will die in the desert. And it was terrible, terrible thing, really. People who were supposed to go to the land in a few days, and now they're going to be there for 40 years and die. That's like actually unbearable. And every year in Tisha B'Av, the Midrash says, they didn't just die one here, one there. Every year in Tisha B'Av, all the people in the desert will dig a grave, and everybody will go into the grave and sleep there. And then in the morning, some will get out and some won't. And I was just thinking about it's like just like some of the stories in the Talmud are just like, whoa, you're just going into your grave. How much more can you accept reality than that you will die one day? After 38 years of doing this every year in Tisha B'Av, they're going into the graves, and in the morning, everybody comes out and they're saying to themselves, something's wrong. Maybe we got the date wrong. So the next day, again, everybody goes into the grave and they're all coming up again. And that's what they do for 6 days until they see the full moon. And they understand, okay, the decree is over. And the Talmud says, and this is why we celebrate Tu B'Av, which is told to us is one of the two best days of the year, Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur. And when I read this, I just felt like when you're in the Tisha B'Av mode, you're going to the grave and you lie there and you have no idea if you'll come out or not. No one can promise you that something will happen. The truth of the world is that when something breaks, something else is being born, but you don't know how it's going to happen. It's not like you're going into your Shiva house and you're mourning and you know that everything's going to be okay. No, something will grow, but you don't know exactly how it's going to happen. The transformation, in a way, happens for sure, but there's not something that you are forcefully going to do. You're saying the Kina, you're you're opening to that place that this is reality, and then you know the reality always, always, always changes. And in a way, you're going to the grave, and one day you're coming up, and the moon is full, and something new is happening, but you don't know exactly how. So I feel now we are in that grave in a way, like just being there. We're still in an event, but we can also hold the wisdom of our body that when something dies, there's something new already coming up. That when the blood comes, there's an egg already coming, getting out of the ovary, starting a new cycle. That is a very strong thing to know in our body and to kind of hold without expecting it to go a specific way, but to hold it, that there is something that is happening and to be sensitive to it. Um, and and when I was reading the first Kina that we started our meeting today with, Elitzion be'areha, kemo isha b'tzireha, I was like, wow, never thought about that too. Like, how do we start that Kina? Oh my God, Zion and all the towns are now looking like a woman who's having contractions. That's how the Kina starts. And I think that is, again, like really, we're being told something very deep that there's something in transformation here. This is a woman in contractions. There's something in transformation, and we don't know exactly where it's going, but there's something in transformation. For me here in California, it's right now 10:49 in the morning. But for some of you, it's already afternoon. And the tradition, at least in the house I grew up in, and I know it's like in many other places, is that on Tisha B'Av noon to start cleaning the house. So my mom would take the broom and just start going over the house, like cleaning as she was still fasting. And that is part of like that thought that on the day of Tisha B'Av, Mashiach is born, and you're starting to get the place ready. I don't know. I don't feel it yet. You who are in the PM maybe feel it already, but I feel like it was something that was almost felt that at some point, okay, you sat, and if you really sat and you're willing to sit in the grave and to sit in the Shiva and to sit in the quiet and to lament and to yell, at some point you feel that you have some koach and you're going to start cleaning the house. And all these domestic things that women did, really, I think for very for various reasons, they were like symbolic deep things. To clean the house is not just to clean the house. It's like we have some koach. We're waiting for something to happen, and we're getting the place ready to nurture again. So I would I would just close by reminding us two distinctions, hopefully, that can be helpful for us. One is that life is chaotic sometimes, and we have time to be with the chaoticness of life. We have time in our calendar, the 3 weeks and Tisha B'Av, to accept that life sometimes goes like that. And then we have the options to accept it or resent it. And accepting it sometimes looks wild, quiet, awkward, crying, wild. But this is a role, a real role that women used to do and I think are doing, of like doing the kind of like attesting and willing to see so that we can get the tears out and not get stuck with it with resentment. And then we again have another distinction that there is everything that happens outside, and there is that thing that happens inside, that very gentle thing that at some points transforms inside and builds something new. And we're just wanting to gently pay attention to it. And when it comes, to be ready to sweep the house and celebrate it, but only when it comes. It has its own pace. Um, yeah, so this is where we are today. And thank you for gathering to be here together and to feel it and to feel into it. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I feel it's far away still, but I feel that we get a hint already to Tu B'Av, which will which is a place to teach us the the secret and the redemption possible in dancing. And I feel this year when we need to dance, to learn how to dance again, this will be very important. So for now, just like a hint and a wish for all of us to be able to really be present with the grief that is happening and to sense that transformation when it comes. And that's it. Thank you.
Mama, with my whole heart, with all our hearts, thank you.